Gentleman yields. The gentlewoman from Colorado, Ms. Pettersen, is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and great to have you both here today. Thank you for the work you do every day. We've already had the opportunity to talk about my concerns around the fentanyl crisis, and I want to dive into some of the work that you all are doing. You know that this is the third wave of the opioid epidemic. We have more people now that have died in the United States than all world wars combined. And we have to come together with all the resources necessary to stop the trafficking of fentanyl into this country. And so I want to applaud the work that you're doing with the announcement in December around the launch of the Counter Fentanyl Strike Force to bring that coordination and information sharing necessary to address this crisis. And Under Secretary Nelson, given your role as chair of the new strike force, can you tell us, give us an update on your work and comment on any additional resources and authorities you may need from Congress?
No, thank you for the question. And as you know, Secretary Yellen announced the strike force just back in December, and we are excited working with IRSCI to be able to leverage all of the tools that we have internal to the Department of the Treasury to more efficiently, I think, support law enforcement and other law enforcement colleagues in identifying key networks and leaders that are facilitating the flow, obviously, of fentanyl into the United States. I think we are focused on, with my colleague Chief Lee, who is the head of IRSCI, bringing our teams together on a regularized basis and identifying with other law enforcement partners some key cases that we can support together using their particular expertise in virtual assets and the disturbing trend, I think, that we're seeing of the use of virtual assets to facilitate some of the fentanyl flows. I would also just note we are also participating in the overall U.S. government engagements with China in the context of the counter narcotics working group and looking for ways that we can work on financial typologies in that context, and then continuing to engage the government of Mexico, and we've committed to continuing to designate all parts of the supply chain. So just to assure you that all parts of the Office of TFI are working on this issue.
Thank you for those comments. And then, you know, when you talk about the move to utilizing digital assets, that is concerning. We don't want to stop innovation here in the United States. We don't want it to go elsewhere. And we also want to have a standard in place to get out ahead of it. And I don't know if you can talk briefly about what additional things we could consider, bills that are going through, you know, gaps that we currently face with the legislative proposals. And then also would love to know what we're doing around engaging China in particular, because we know that when they had pressure around the distribution of fentanyl, they started distributing the supplies to make it in Mexico and bring it over. And so what additional tools do we need to stop that production?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think we're looking forward to working with Congress on a couple of things. Are there ways that we can better get out, get and address the challenge of compliance through additional regulatory clarity? And I think we have some ideas that we can get you on that. And then also focused on how do we get at the question of jurisdictional arbitrage, and are there ways to extend sort of AML CFT compliance to entities that are operating abroad. We are certainly, and just in the context of China, I think out of President Biden's conversation with Xi, we've already seen that the Chinese have taken steps to provide guidance to those precursor companies and restrict their forward export to Mexico, where, to your point, the fentanyl is made, and I think we also understand that they're starting to take some law enforcement actions as well. And as I noted, a colleague just came back from China, the Counter Narcotics Working Group, and out of that engagement, I think we do want to look at ways we can work with them on operational level on financial typologies.
I'd love to have a longer conversation. Obviously, we're already out of town at a time, and I didn't even get to ask you my questions, so I will follow up. I really appreciate the work you do. Thank you for being with us.